This week we're taking a look at Sirui's new FX30 cage. If you're thinking Sirui, the company that makes anamorphic lenses for mirrorless cameras, you're right. This is the same company, and I was surprised too, especially because I've been using their anamorphics with my RED Komodo, especially the 35mm 1.8 that they make for Super 35, for around a year. And I have really enjoyed the look of their lenses, especially when it comes to shooting a lot of sci-fi stuff. Their lenses really lend themselves well to that kind of content. So when they contacted me to review their cage, I instantly said, yes, why not? You guys have made great products so far. So they did sponsor today's video. However, my thoughts are mine and mine alone. So let's get started on this cage itself. The biggest thing that immediately differentiates this cage from any other cage out there on the market for the FX3, FX30 is the inclusion of this small Manfrotto plate. Now, as you see right here, it's not the typical size. I guess you could call this a mini Manfrotto plate. It has 2 1/4-inch screws built into the plate itself that go directly on the cage. Now, the cool part about this is you can have a very small Manfrotto plate that doesn't stick super far out like traditional Manfrotto plates do, which become an issue when you're packing up the camera. Typically, when I'm using Manfrotto plates, I have to unscrew them, where this plate, I don't. And I'm typically using tripods that have Manfrotto plates on them. So it's nice to be able to put my FX30 easily on a tripod that uses Manfrotto plates, and I don't have to put a new plate on. This plate is already there for the most part. Their cage also has an Arca Swiss built into the bottom, which has become pretty standard. You could just put your cage directly on the tripod, and yet again, that is one less thing you have to worry about screwing onto the camera itself. The overall layout of the cage was designed really well because it's not blocking any of the ports whatsoever. You can easily remove your lens, or you're using an adapter that may stick out a little bit further if you're adapting EF lenses. Not an issue on this cage. There's a NATO rail that's separate from the cage that goes on the top that's very flush with this cage itself. It doesn't have any locks, which is a good and a bad thing. It's good because you can put your NATO rail accessories on a lot quicker. But the bad part is, if they're loose for whatever reason, if it goes to the right of the cage, there won't be anything preventing it from slipping off. However, for the most part, I've never had that issue. This is the Sirui top handle, which uses an RE locking pin to lock into this top NATO rail on the top of the FX30. It also has an RE locking pin on the top, also in the front right here. There's also 3 areas for cold shoes. There's also a lock on both of the top cold shoes. Not a lock on this back one, but I actually like that there's not a lock because this is where I'm actually putting my wireless audio devices, so it's great to not have the lock on this one. There's a built-in tool that definitely helps when it comes to tightening the RE locking pin. There is a forward-facing cold shoe here on the top of the FX30 as well. Sirui did include this little S tool that sticks right here on the bottom of the cage, and it's nice to have these tools because if you need to be able to take off your cage for whatever reason, you don't have to go find your tools. It is magnetically sealed to the bottom of this cage, and of course you can easily just take it off because it is magnets. Few final touches. There's a side NATO rail right here. There's also the ability to unscrew this part of the cage and actually make it a half cage. I prefer to keep this a full cage just for protection reasons. However, if you want to maybe minimize the amount of weight that you have on your overall camera body, then unscrewing this part of the cage will definitely help with that. I'm putting my FX30 on the gimbal a lot, so every ounce matters, and having a lighter cage definitely helps when it comes to balancing and also just my setup in general, especially when you're using gimbals like the RS3 Mini, where your payload's only 4.4 pounds anyways. Really enjoyed using this cage, and if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the comments below. And if you got knowledge and value out of today's video, please make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and notification bell to keep up to date with the latest videos from the channel. Till next time, my name's Geoff Fagien. Thank you for watching, everybody, and I will see you in the next video.